Okay, wonderful. Case two, 23-year-old female. And any story at this point? And we're going to show the H&E erythematous plaque on the lower
Yeah, I can't
leg.
remember how they said there was a clinical photo, but no one ever sent it to me. And it was an outside consult case in the past. I try not to take consults anymore because I like to go home and see my family. Um, but yeah, they just said it was a kind of a reddish, reddish plaque on the leg of a young woman. I think it had been there for a few years, slowly growing, if I
Mhm.
recall.
So, that's kind of a busy
Hmm.
case, busy lesion, busy tumor, nothing in the dermis, yeah. And kind of
This
looks
one
looks
really,
vascular, doesn't it?
yes, it does. This one really gave me a hard time, and we
Oh
finally figured
gosh.
it out with the help of a fellow, actually.
Yeah, let's kind of digest it. Let's present it and kind of goes deep into subcutaneous tissue. A little bit patchy inflammation. Kind of bland nuclei, but kind of
Agreed.
bubbly. Hmm. And here we're infiltrating fat. The tumor infiltrates the fat. Again, it has those nuclear bubbles. Kind of, okay. So that might be it for H&E to get us started. We're infiltrating in the periphery. And then um, we're going to show some H&E, actually immunohistochemical stains before we ask about the diagnosis, because I'm sure all of us would you know have a panel to assess a lesion like that. And let's look at those three that you picked to share. CD34. It looked positive as the vascular lesion would, but are the vessels that are staining or?
Yeah, and I did a 30. There was a 31 also, but unfortunately, the slide was it came with the case. It was
Mhm.
broken, and so I wasn't able to get a scan of it because of that. And it was
Well,
very
it is
pretty though.
positive, right? There's
Mhm,
no,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's no
Yeah,
no
30,
debate.
31 was like this similar pattern, but a little cleaner looking, as is usually the case with 31.
Smooth muscle actin. Let's look at that one. So we see vessels, but fewer vessels or vascular structures than on H&E that are positive, right?
Right.
There's some cellularity in between those vessels. Let's go into the subcutaneous tissue where that infiltration occurred. So these are nuclei of those cells that so we will have to come back to the H&E. And then you also was kind to share the S100 stain. And
This one I did not do at first. This was a kind of afterthought that came later.
mhm.
Once I thought about things a little more and had some extra.
Once you had a dead alley.
Yes.
So it's positive, right? So there's a staining, and those cells look kind of more kind of dendritic in a way. So let's take a look at the H&E. One more look, and then we'll be, I think, at the Mentimeter soliciting suggestions about this lesion. And here, actually, before that, I added one more thing for you to consider. How about a blend, because we have a blend spindle cell tumor with expression of CD34 and S100, but negative for SOX stain. We don't have that stain, but I added it. And now, what is your diagnosis? So Gerard, what else would you tell us kind of about your processes? People are on the Mentimeter typing in.
Well, I
It's
don't.
this vascular analogy. I think that is something kind of.
Yeah, so that
If
and
this was
I
vascular
tried
lesion,
I
what
had
would that
trouble
be?
with I ran out of time. There are a couple of H&Es on this excision,
Uh-huh.
and one of the other ones really looked very much vascular, like the dermal component. And the sub-Q part was only on this slide. So I wanted the other slide was actually what I looked at first, that just had these really prominent kind of infiltrative but bland, thin compressed dermal vessels that trickle between the collagen bundles, you know? So when you see that, when you see, thin but well-formed, bland vessels that trickle between collagen, that reminds me of something. I've not seen anyone type it out yet. So see, I think maybe I just made a diagnostic, an initial error, and I couldn't let go of it, which is kind of the point of why I wanted to share this case. It's an interesting and kind of
Hmm.
uncommon thing, but also it was an example of like how I made a mistake at first, and it caused me trouble because of that mistake. So
Hmm. Yeah. So let's see what people,
yeah,
some
let's see what you guys
suggestions.
think, and then I'll tell you what I was thinking. Yes, that's exactly what I thought. And thank you. You all made me feel better. My first thought was this looks like a microvenular hemangioma,
Yes.
kind of, but it's weird. It's not quite right. It's so big, it's so deep. There's all these extra cells in between, like that look like histiocytes. It's going into the fat. What in there? Lymphocytes scattered in there. What is going on? Like, I've never seen, no, I've not seen that many microvenular hemangiomas. They're, in my hands, at least, or in my experience, pretty uncommon. I've seen, I don't know, a handful of them in my career. So I thought that's the closest thing I could fit it to. But
Hmm.
I was like, but it's not right. So kind of like the first case, looks maybe like a weird vascular thing, but it doesn't fit neatly into a box. And sometimes things are like that. They don't fit into a box. So my main question then is this something that is uh a normal a described entity that's just a weird variation of it that I've not seen before, a different flavor of a known entity? Or is this some unclassifiable unknown entity, that just has not been reported yet? Or is this something else and I'm being tricked? And in this case, it was something else and I'm being tricked. So I thought this is probably weird microvenular hemangioma. The outside pathologist had thought the same thing. And I looked at their workup, and before I saw that's what they thought, I thought the same thing. I kind of came to the same conclusion as them. But like them, they said, but it's kind of weird because of how deep it is, how infiltrative, how cellular. And I felt the same exact concern. Like it's not quite right. It looked benign, but I generally I prefer, if possible, when I have a tumor that looks benign, I like to have a name for it if possible. And that's because one of the lessons my mentor Jay Rowe at Houston Methodist Hospital, who passed away a couple years ago, but really one of my greatest mentors. The reason more than anyone else that I became an educator is because of Dr. Rowe. And Dr. Rowe always said, if there is a tumor that's a neoplasm that looks benign, but you don't have a name for it, you don't know what it is, don't just call it benign neoplasm NOS. Unless you're an expert in the field or you show an expert. And I think that's good advice because that's the way you make mistakes, right? Think about DFSP or a lot of other soft tissue tumors. They don't really cytologically look malignant, right? Many of the translocation sarcomas don't look malignant. And yet they're malignant because of the pattern. So that's the kind of thing, if you don't know about that pattern, you can get into trouble. And I don't know, I guess I'm maybe approaching expert level, but I still don't feel. Dr. Weiss told me, referring back to Sharon Weiss, she said, Jared, do you know what the definition of an expert is? And we talked a lot about other things besides pathology. And, some people say an expert, someone with 10,000 hours of experience, which I think I've got my 10,000 hours now. But I love the practical way she said, Jared, an expert is someone who can look at the slide and instantly know whether or not they will be able to solve the case. And I love that. And Dr. Weiss could do that. She would either know this is something unclassifiable or this is X, Y, or Z, and I know what stain or what workup to do to get there. I still don't have that complete confidence. I'm always like, this must be a thing, and I just don't know what it is. And then I'll send it to an outside expert, and they'll be like, yeah, we're not sure what it is either. And that makes me feel better, but it also is unsatisfying. I want the answer, right? So I still don't have that total confidence that I'm not missing something. So anyway,
So another,
the
let me interject. Another
yeah.
definition of expert is access to microphone. In some circles, that's what
True,
count.
true. Whoever's the loudest voice is the expert, right?
Access to microphone. So here's the
Yeah.
question: which molecular test would you like to perform?
And I saw some people on there thought of it. Very good.
Yeah. So let me give you 20 seconds.
So the thing is Dr. Zembowicz helps us here by showing the S100 and bringing up that really great point of co-expression of 34 and S100 without SOX10 expression. That is a distinct and unusual combo of stains that right away should make you think of what you guys thought of, an NTRK-rearranged neoplasm. But that was not on my radar at all. And I do know a little bit about that tumor. I've actually diagnosed it before multiple times. I've made a video about it before. It did not occur to me here at all. And I'll tell you what really helped. It was humbling and also awesome. I hope she doesn't mind, but I'm going to call her out by name. I had a visiting fellow from Penn State Hershey, Dr. Sydney Hoskins, who was working with me for a week because they don't have as much soft tissue at Hershey. So she came and visited for a week and spent time with me. And I was showing her and said, "Oh, this is a weird vascular lesion. And I think it's kind of like microvenular hemangioma, but it's not quite right." And she was like, "Well, I didn't really realize that it was a vascular lesion at first. I thought it was some other spindle cell lesion that just had vessels." And it was really that like fresh set of eyes that was so helpful because I was like, maybe it's not a vascular lesion. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized there are areas with lots of extra cells. And maybe that's the reason there's extra cells in between the vessels, is because those cells are actually the lesional cell and the vessels are just like a bonus, right? They're just a really rich vascular network. And there's a tendency sometimes for pathologists to fixate on vessels and think something's a vascular tumor when it's not. And I often like to teach about that. And I fell right into that trap. And this is a good example of like anchoring bias, right? I thought of microvenular hemangioma and I couldn't let it go. And so I ended up doing an NGS fusion panel on this. And I even felt kind of silly doing it because the outside pathologist was like, "Well, could this be a hemangioendothelioma or something?" And I was like, "No, it doesn't fit into any of the hemangioendothelioma categories. And you can't just call stuff hemangioendothelioma NOS or else you're just making it a wastebasket." But the reason I did the panel is I thought, I don't know exactly what this is. I want to make sure there's not something else I'm not thinking of. And it was a big excision they did, but it was still positive at the margins. So the question was going to be, do they need to excise it more or not? And even though I thought it was benign, I didn't have a great name. And I'm so thankful I did that panel because it came back with an NTRK-3 fusion. And it was while we were waiting for that I shared the case with Dr. Hoskins, and she said, "I didn't really think it was vascular at first glance," and she was totally right. And that's when I thought, after I did the S100 later and it was positive, and I was like, "Oh, it is going to be an NTRK fused neoplasm," and that's what the molecular came back as.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, wonderful.
these are a new emerging class of tumors. NTRK fusions are in a lot of different things, right? We know spitzoid lesions can have them. Infantile fibrosarcoma, which is a really rare soft tissue tumor in babies. And then this nebulous group of NTRK-rearranged mesenchymal neoplasms. So I imagine this, because it's an emerging thing, over time, the new WHOs will probably eventually parse this out into more than one thing, I suspect, because the question is, well, what are they? What do they do? Well, it's not really clear. What the WHO currently says is basic, when we're asking about behavior of these, if they look benign, they will probably have indolent benign behavior. If they look malignant and have an NTRK fusion, they'll probably behave like a sarcoma. So it's maybe not exactly one lesion, but kind of a group of mesenchymal tumors that have NTRK fusions that have a variety of different behaviors depending on how the individual case looks. And they have a wide range of morphologic features. So I have another case on my Kiko, in my Kiko mega index for soft tissue. If you go look up NTRK, there's a case I presented in France a few years ago at the IAP meeting. And it had, in the same tumor, had areas that looked like DFSP, areas that looked like dermatofibroma, areas that infiltrated fat, areas that had fascicles, areas that were bland, areas that had pleomorphism, all in the same tumor. And it co-expressed CD34 and S100. So yeah, weird spindly tumor that you can't quite put into a box. Keep this one in mind because it can really have a range of features and can mimic a lot of other stuff. So some of these originally were called like lipofibromatosis, like neural neoplasm, but then people realized they were S100 negative, so they weren't really neural. They can look kind of like neurofibroma sometimes. This case did not. I'd never seen one with such a robust, rich vascular network as this case, and it really tricked me. But if you look in the subcutis, you can tell that's not a vascular lesion there, right? There really are more spindle cells, but I just couldn't let go of how my initial impression was microvenular hemangioma. So it was a nice thing. And someone asked about PanTrek. I don't have the PanTrek stain in my lab. And from my reading about PanTrek, it's a stain that can work, but it's a lot of times if you do PanTrek, you still often end up needing to follow up with molecular because it doesn't identify all TRK fusions. And then it's not, and it can sometimes stain things that are not actually rearranged. So it's a kind of a, some of these immunostains that are surrogates for molecular are really, really good and very specific, and some are not. And my reading about Pantrek has been that it's not as good as some of the other ones, at least. So I think it's probably helpful for screening if you have it, but I don't have it available to me currently.
Um,
So I just went to the molecular because
One
we do
point
have
I
it.
would make is just looking at this H&E is there's certain monotony
Mm-hmm.
of the cells, and that is always a kind of a clue about possible fusion associated
Absolutely.
neoplasm, in any context, melanocytic, soft tissue,
That's right.
and just a clue. And I'm very fortunate that I have access to NGS, and I usually just go to NGS in any soft
Yeah,
tissue
I love
tumor
it. The more I've used it, the more I'm finding stuff, and it's helped
that I
me
done.
quite a
Yes,
few times.
yes,
So in this case, let me think. I can't
yeah,
remember. I think I copied my report the other day and see. I'm trying to think. What did I tell them
yeah. I
to
think we
do? I
should go.
think I said that they
We
can
should move
watch
on.
and wait.
Jared.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, no
we
problem.
the next case. Oh, actually, a little plug for the upcoming Dermpedia course, which is going to be held in April 15th through 17th, and change from the last couple of years where we were only virtual. It's going to be an in-person component in Boston. So you want to come to Boston, have some nice um, experience Boston. And this is actually a very good time because next weekend that's when the Boston Marathon uh,
Hmm.
is, and this is also the weekend when we celebrate, the first battle of the American Revolution in Lexington. So if you want to go to see a reenactment
Fun.
of Battle of Lexington on Concord
And
on
what a
Saturday,
stellar lineup of speakers too.
yes, yes, it's going to be great, and we will be, talking about interface of the subjects kind of between dermatopathology and general surgical pathology, including like mucosal pathology, ophthalmic pathology, GYN, pathology, lymphomas, some melanocytic lesions and squamous lesions. So it's going to be
That sounds awesome.
good.